Okay, we are live. Hello, I'm Howard Mann, creator of Conscious Shifting, and welcome to Conscious Shifting. Before we get started, a quick disclaimer and warning. Conscious shifting and all known side effects will improve your physical, mental, and spiritual health while providing the ideal environment for spiritual awakening, helping you live the life of your dreams and influencing the world in a positive way. So, if this is something that appeals to you, then you can follow us here on Facebook or subscribe on YouTube, and then join us here Wednesday nights, 6 p.m. California time for Conscious Shifting. The way to communicate with us is through the comment box. You can do it during a live, you can do it during a replay of the live. You can also comment on any of our daily thought provoking posts. Simply put your question in there and we will answer it from a spiritual perspective. All right. So, with that, let's get started. So, being that St. Patrick's Day is coming up on Saturday, I thought I'd do a short live and just discuss um, how to increase your luck. You about luck around St. Patrick's Day, the luck of the Irish, that kind of stuff. So I thought it might be a little bit fun to discuss that and informative as well. Hi Susan, how you doing? Hi Kim. All right, so let's begin with stress. Stress causes poor decision making. The stress response is a survival skill. It's something that's built right into us. That's what happens when we sense that there's some kind of danger out there. What happens is the blood flows. One of the things that happens is that the blood flows to the subconscious. So those blood vessels expand, and the blood vessels that go to the higher processing parts of the brain, the parts of the brains that are able to do analysis and think in more complex ways, those veins are restricted. So it cuts energy from that and instead diverts energy to a lower part of the brain, a more primitive part of the brain, the subconscious, because subconscious doesn't think, it just reacts. So it's much faster. And in an emergency, that's important. But the downside of it, that although it's fast, it makes you less intelligent. It literally makes you less intelligent. You become a reactionary creature rather than a thinking higher being. So survival is usually seen as good luck. I'm not knocking that. That's important. But being calm and mentally clear when making decisions results in better decision making. And that contributes most often to what is called good luck. So stress is the first thing to kind of get your handle on, because if you're all stressed out and in the monkey mind and not thinking correctly, you could just forget about pretty much everything else. Hi Tracy. Hi Ray. Awesome. Hi mom. My dad. Hi Tina. Preparedness. You can avoid a lot of stress, chaos, and bad decision making by being prepared. So, for example, are you ready for natural disasters, man made disasters, or other unfortunate events? Because those things are going to happen. It's just part of life. But instead of waiting for crisis and then acting out of desperation and fear, you can be prepared. And that preparedness doesn't necessarily have to be in preparation for a crisis. It could be just simply being prepared for major life events and opportunities. Good luck, or what is seen as good luck, is often nothing more than preparedness meeting opportunity. So there's another way you can increase your good luck. Next is attitude. You hear about the luck of the Irish, and some people have lucky rabbit's feet, lucky coins, lucky clothing that they'll wear, some ritual that they do. But their beliefs in these items are what's behind the energy that they project. And that's really what's creating the influence over the circumstances around them. In other words, if you have a negative attitude, you're going to project negative energy, and that's going to produce negative results. If you have a positive attitude, then you're going to project positive energy, which will produce positive results. So the energy that you project and what that attracts is what's seen as good or bad luck. And you have control over your attitude, don't you? Yeah, I hope the wind doesn't knock us out. We've had a lot of weather events lately. And another thing is karma. Many people believe that karma is responsible for your luck, whether it's good or bad. And in a sense, it's true, but you actually create your karma. Karma, you could look at it as accountability. In other words, for every action, there's a reaction. And simply put, karma is the consequence of free will. Your thoughts, your words, your actions result in your karma. And because you create your karma, you can change your karma. And with it, what you would call your luck. Yes, and Kim's talking about expectations. So expectations we could include in there with your attitude, all important attitude. Um, now you can have unrealistic expectations and then be let down and then get depressed. But if you're optimistic about things, then you're going to do far better in life than if you're pessimistic. It feels better too. So, expectations, yes, that plays in there. Now, the secret to manifestation is becoming what you want to manifest. Not so much in the rituals that you do, not so much in what you want or you desire, not even so much what you pray for. It's your thoughts and words and actions that manifest your circumstances. And those are based upon your beliefs. So what you believe expands and becomes reality. We live in an energy universe. It's everything going on is energy interacting with energy. Your thoughts are energy, your words are energy, your actions are energy. They interact with other energy and create what we call reality. So, if you want a great job, for example, become a great employee, and the job will find you. Doors will open that otherwise wouldn't have, and then all you have to do is step through them. The same if you want a great business, become a great business person, and you'll manifest a great business. It's just the way it works. If you want a great relationship, become a great partner, and the right person will find you. So, whatever you desire, you need to become. Once you do, you'll manifest that. You'll manifest it into reality, and in this way, you actually create your luck. And then there's the unknown. Now, hi, Rebecca. The unknown freaks a lot of people out because it's unknown. But if you really think about it, the only way to really live your life, grow, rise into higher consciousness, experience new things, heal, is to be open to the potential of the unknown. Because whatever you're manifesting right now is the known. That's what you know, that's what you are, that's what you're manifesting. Every other possibility is merely a potential within the unknown. And so if you keep choosing the same thoughts, then you're going to keep recycling the same experiences. To experience something different requires moving into the unknown. Within any potential is information. And when you focus your energy into an unknown potential, you'll energize that new information as a new experience into reality. You follow that one? That's kind of a heavy concept, but it's true. So the thing is that reality can only be manifested within the limitations of the consciousness doing the manifesting. So if you want to manifest something else, a higher reality, then you need to rise into a higher state of consciousness. Within that level of consciousness, you'll manifest the higher reality. That's the only way to do it. You know, Christ talked about it as Christ consciousness. Buddha talked about it more in terms of being in the right place, doing the right thing, being in the right mind. But what they're really saying is that your experiences are an expansion of your level of consciousness. So that's where the work is. You need to rise in consciousness, and as when you rise into a higher state of consciousness, then you're going to be accessing higher information, and then that information, that potential, can be manifested into reality. And the last one, yeah, Kim says if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always got. That's exactly right. And the last point I wanted to make about luck is when you take all this stuff that we've talked about and you formulate it and then move into that higher area of consciousness I'm talking about. I know a lot of you know what I'm getting at. Some of you may be wondering what I'm getting at. Okay, so you're talking about this unknown, and there's this information within that unknown, these higher realities, higher states of consciousness are associated with higher information, higher realities. When you rise into that state of consciousness, you then manifest that potential and the information within it into reality, just as you're currently manifesting this reality based on the information within the level of consciousness where you find yourself at. So where do we go then? You know, the unknown, I mean, that's pretty vague. And I think sometimes that's what scares people. They hear the unknown and they think, whoa, I don't know about all that. That sounds kind of scary. Hi, Katja. But it really isn't. Because think of it this way. Look at the world and all of the problems that exist in the world. All of the answers, all of the solutions exist in a higher state of being. And when mankind evolves to that higher state of being, then we'll start creating a higher reality, eventually heaven on earth. That's how it's going to be done. So what I'm really getting at, this last area, when you get a handle on all this other stuff, is divine guidance. That's how you determine which possibility to manifest into reality. That's where divine guidance comes in. So you start by accepting that there is a divine intelligence that's operating beyond the physical world. Now, I use the word divine. Physics just says that there seems to be intelligence built into the smallest particles that exist. Intelligence far beyond these simple particles. So they could not have evolved because these simple particles, it's like saying that, you know, you're gonna take all the parts to an automobile and pile them up out in the backyard and then wait for a few years and somehow an automobile is going to evolve out of these parts. Doesn't quite work that way. There are things that you need a microscope to see. In some cases, an electron microscope to see. In some cases, far greater magnification to see. They're so tiny, but they're the building blocks of everything in the universe. And within those building blocks are bits of information that are more complex than our supercomputers. So there's no way that information could have evolved, which is why I call it divine. It is something from beyond the physical realm, and yet it's directing everything that happens within the physical realm. So the first thing to do with this idea, hi Trey, with this idea of divine guidance is accept that there is some divine intelligence operating beyond the physical world. Because if you deny it, you won't access it. Not because it's not there, not because you can't access it, not because you can't manifest it into reality, simply because you believe you can't. And that creates a spiritual block to your own spiritual evolution, and you won't until you accept that truth, or at least accept that it's possible. At least accept that it's possible. Kim says she always thought that the rabbit foot didn't seem like a good choice for good luck charm. Well, it wasn't so lucky for the rabbit. That's true. I don't know how that got started. A lot of people have, you know, they're religious about their luck. You know, certain athletes have to wear a certain pair of socks or do a certain ritual before they go onto the field. There's actors that have this whole ceremony, rock stars. There's all kinds of people that have these beliefs, and what they're missing is that the beliefs they have in these objects is not what's doing whatever influence on the circumstances around them is being done. It's the energy that they're putting into it. Whether it's putting on a good show or healing. It's happening because they believe that it's happening. So it's like there's these tools that they're using to access that higher information without realizing that they're the ones doing it. So there's a huge shift in consciousness that happens when you realize and start believing that you're actually a powerful spiritual being. And you don't need a rabbit's foot or a lucky pair of socks. Nellie says micro and macro intelligence, divine. Exactly. Hi, Nellie. So that's the thing. There's the micro and the macro. You've got this very complex biology where you have, let's just take a single human being where you have as much as 100 trillion cells. And believe it or not, there's more space in between those cells than there is what you would call solid matter or cells. you don't perceive it that way because our bodies just don't have senses that are capable of that. But on extreme magnification, what you realize is that there's organs and veins and blood and bone and all this stuff that look like separate components. And if you magnify it even closer, you realize that they're made up of a bunch of cells, and you magnify it even closer, and there's more space in between those cells than there is cells. It's kind of like when you look out into space and you see a star there and you see a star there and you see a star there, and there's hundreds of thousands of light years in between. There's more space than there are stars. Well, the body's the same way. And yet, all of these 100 trillion cells all work in perfect harmony to create a being, a human being, the mind body, and all of the functions that it does. But if you take just one of those cells and you study it, you'll realize that that single cell is very much like a human being. It has a skin, it has organ, that house all of its parts, all of its organs. The organs perform different functions within the cell. It eats, it drinks, it excretes, it breathes, it reproduces, lives and dies, each cell. But if you break that cell down even further, it's made up of molecules. And you break the molecules down even further, and it's made up of atoms. And you take a single atom, and there's more intelligence in that single atom than there is in our supercomputers. So that intelligence could not have evolved. The organism, far before it came complex enough to start thinking along the lines of basic arithmetic, let alone what it takes to program a supercomputer. And yet, in that very, very tiny thing that everything in the universe is constructed out of, is that intelligence. The intelligence that creates order in the universe. We don't live in a chaotic universe. There's physical laws, there's cycles. The sun, we have day and night. We have seasons. These things happen without anybody doing anything. This intelligence is programmed into everything going on in this universe. So who programmed it? That's what I'm getting at. It's divine intelligence. It's from beyond the physical universe. A more accurate statement would be that everything in the physical universe is a manifestation of spirit, or this divine information. Everything, including our own mind bodies. And then when you get to an organism that gets complex enough, it's capable of expressing a higher intelligence, a higher consciousness into this physical realm. Kim says she still believes shooting stars are lucky. So what does all this mean? It's just, I could go on, but I think you get the point now. It's miraculous. And so the first thing is to accept that there's this divine intelligence that's operating here. This divine intelligence that's beyond the physical universe. It was here before the universe. It created the universe. And it governs the universe. And we're part of that. We have consciousness. So when you want to talk about spiritual identity, that's it. We have consciousness. So we must be part of that consciousness, because that consciousness, that spirit, that divine energy, that divine intelligence is beyond time and space. It actually creates time and space. It manifests as time and space. we're part of that. So we have to be eternal. This idea of an all-knowing God, it must be so. Otherwise, this universe wouldn't exist. Nothing would be getting manifested. Evolution might explain a few things. It might explain the variation within a species, but it doesn't explain how all this started. It doesn't explain why all of this keeps going the way it does. Hey, Yellowhammer, how's it going? So there's this great spirit, and we're all part of it. And it's what's creating all of this. So that's the first thing when you really want to get down to it, is accepting that is so. Because then you remove the spiritual blocks to your own spiritual evolution. At least believe that it's a possibility. I'm not telling you to believe anything I say because I say it. Only upon your own examination of the information and your own experience, try and disprove it, if you will. And when you can't, then accept that it just might be a possibility. So Kim says, chicken or the egg? Exactly. It's that kind of an argument. And the answer is both. So when you accept that there's this divine intelligence operating in this universe, that will act as a release mechanism for your stress. Remember the first point I made about stress and how it interferes with intelligence and it interferes with good decision making? When you realize that all of this is exactly the way it should be, it's all under divine control, then you just relax. That's a big stress release, because you don't have to do anything. You're part of that, and you don't have to do a thing. You've always been part of that. You're always going to be part of that. So there's this release mechanism for your stress, and then you can relax into the peace that remains. Because all these falsehoods, all these false identifications with the physical world and the mind, body, and the ego, and all this stuff, believing that this is all that there is what's causing your stress. So when you realize that this isn't all there is, you can let go of that stress. And then, which is one of the main reasons people meditate, but then with a clear and calm mind, you can prepare the best you can for life's events. So that's keeping a good attitude, focusing on the positive. You can look for opportunities that you can learn from your karma. And then you use the wisdom that you gain to become a higher version of yourself. Now, these are all things that you can do every moment of every day of your life. But then you have to kind of go beyond your mind body. You remain open to the possibilities and the potential within the unknown. And that's where you really get down to the nuts and bolts of all of this. So all these things are true. All these things bring you to a higher version of yourself. But in the end, you have to go beyond what you think is yourself. And you do that when you ask for, when you accept, and you act on divine intelligence. And what appears as luck to others will be with you. But it's not really luck. You're in alignment with the divine. Things just kind of go your way. That's how it works. You're not resisting what is. That resistance causes fear and it causes suffering. That's what Buddha was talking about. That's what Jesus was talking about. It's what every great spiritual teacher that's ever walked the planet and talked about this stuff essentially said. Trey says, there's no doubt for me that there's a divine intelligence far beyond my understanding. That's it. And you don't really have to understand it. And truth be told, it's beyond comprehension. You know, the intellect's only going to get you so far. And you can kind of understand this stuff on an intellectual level. I try to explain it in simple language. I try to use metaphors. I try to do things to help. But at the end of the day, the details aren't really important. And the words don't do it justice because it's beyond all of this. As soon as you try to describe it, you're not talking about it anymore. You're talking about your description of it, your interpretation of it. You're filtering the divine information that you've been given. The only way to really deal with it is just to simply access it and relax into it and become it. It's an experience, not an analysis. Analysis is something that it's a function of the brain. It's not experience. It's based in thoughts, which are based in memories. Yeah, it's okay if you're trying to do arithmetic, balance your checkbook, schedule a plane flight somewhere. That's fine. But in terms of living, it's kind of worthless. And some people that are really smart, their intelligence gets in their own way because they're too identified with the thinking, which is part of the ego. And that creates spiritual blocks to higher states of consciousness. So it's just something that you experience. You just let go, you relax into it. Now it says chicken first, need a prototype before you reproduce. Hi, Kathy. All right, so if there's any questions about it, this is kind of gnarly stuff. And, I kind of wanted to do something a little bit on the light side, luck of the Irish and St. Patrick's Day. But the way I understand it, it's not really luck. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. And I wanted to, talk about the things that people consider luck, bad or good, and explain that it's really not that at all. And so I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them and I'll answer them. But let's move on to a healing circle. And we'll try to put this into something that maybe you can practice, like a little meditation you can do to help with this stuff, help it sink in. Maybe, and over time with these healing circles, you kind of get the gist of it, but really you just sit there and observe. But all these things that I do, I tie them into the lives. And so it helps give you a little bit of framework to get started. And eventually you can just let go and fly with it. But in the beginning, it helps. So let me get the banner up here. So if anyone comes in, they're not wondering what the heck is going on. Okay, so everybody, that if you're capable, get in a comfortable upright position. And if you're not, just try to be in a comfortable position however you can be. And then visualize us forming a circle and joining hands. You feel that? That might be weird for some of you. But just that visualization, directing your energy to forming a healing circle with all of us here and joining hands, you may sense something, and that's okay. Don't get caught up on it. Just notice it and let it be. So we join hands and begin breathing, if you can, through the nose, down to an area just below your belly button. And then exhale. And again, another deep breath down to about the belly button or just below. And then exhale. So inhale peace and exhale all tension. And then settle into the relaxation. And inhale peace. Exhale all tension. Allow your body to become calm. Inhale peace. Exhale all tension. And then allow your mind to slow down. It's in the quiet stillness that you'll access divine knowledge. Access the divine intelligence that's beyond the physical world. This world has order. The sun, the moon, and the seasons follow their cycles. Everything in this universe is at the direction of divine intelligence. So simply accept that everything is as it should be, and then let go. Let go of the physical world. Now release any remaining resistance and relax into the peace that remains. And with a calm and clear mind, you're free to be the highest version of yourself possible. And then remain open to the potential within the unknown. Ask for divine guidance. Accept divine guidance. And become divine guidance. And you are now in alignment with the divine. So let's just sit with that for about a minute, and then we'll continue. Okay. So when you're in alignment with the divine, you become a portal for the divine to flow into this world. And there's a great healing that takes place as you manifest the divine. For one thing, you realize that this temporary world that we live in is nothing more than an illusion. that ultimately you're a spiritual being. So you don't even have a mind body, and you don't exist within a physical world. We're just visitors here. And since spiritual beings exist, higher consciousness exists beyond this realm, then they leave behind it all the things of this realm. There's no disease, there's no pain, there's no suffering. There's no violence, warfare, poverty, starvation. All these things are part of the illusion. They're all made possible when we believe in the illusion. Now, in a sense, you're here, but it's more like a dream. And at some point, you'll wake up and go, wow, it was just a dream. That's what spiritual awakening is like. And you can experience that while you're here and live as your spiritual essence while you're here, even though you're still kind of playing the game of life. That's called spiritual mastery. And there's a great peace that comes with that because you're not resisting and fearful of all this stuff. So this great healing takes place as you manifest the divine. So before we close, let's allow the healing circle to become a portal. And allow the divine to flow through our circle and unto the world. And visualize the great healing taking place. Visualize peace on earth. Visualize heaven being manifested on earth. And so it is. All right, slowly open your eyes. If there's any last questions, we can address those. Hi, Marshall. Hi, Tina. Let's get rid of that. Cam is reminding everybody to drink a full glass of water. The reason being you want to stay hydrated. And when you do energy work, it helps. It helps with the balanced flow of energy through the body. All right, I don't see any additional questions. So, Trey, spiritual mastery, indeed. Indeed. So, live as your spiritual essence while in human form. That's spiritual mastery. And you can do both. Yes, you're temporarily here, you're in the human condition, but it's not who you are. You have a body, but you're not the mind body. You have thoughts and emotions, but you're not thoughts and emotions. You experience life in the circumstances that you find yourself in here, but it's all temporary and it's just part of the illusion. And, you know, you sense things through your senses because the body has senses, and that's how it interprets the energy of the universe. That's all it is sensations. Like pain, it's just a sensation of the body, just like any other sensation, and nothing more. But if you identify with it, then you build it up into a Frankenstein monster, so to speak, and you start believing it's reality. Same with your thoughts and emotions. If you identify with them, you start believing they're who you are. They're not. They're just something you have. So you kind of come in one door and you cross the room and that's your life, and then you exit out the other door onto your next adventure, so to speak. This is all temporary and it's all an illusion. Physics actually proves that. They don't call it spiritual, they don't call it divine, but they know that it's non-physical. Well, what's non-physical? It's basically the same definition as a spiritual realm, a realm where there's no form, there's no mind body, there's no physical matter, there's no time, there's no space. There's just this, what you would call spirit or consciousness. That's all. And we're all part of that. Together, we all make it up. If you really want to get down to it, an accurate description of what's going on here is that we're all suffering from a massive case of multiple personality disorder. We bought into the idea that there's this separation that's occurred. That's what allows all of the pain and suffering and all of the evil to exist in the world. So the journey home is the journey back to oneness consciousness. But we have to kind of experience this stuff, extract the lessons from it, and realize that we knew the truth all along. And that is that we're just one spirit. And when we start behaving accordingly, then we'll manifest heaven on earth. Hi, Sue. Sue's University of Life in the house. Quite welcome, all of you. Kim says, may the luck of the divine be with y'all. There you go. And so that's a good note to end on. All right, everybody. Have a happy St. Patrick's Day. I honor the God within you. And remember, until the next time, the only way to bring about the greater good is to be the greater good. Good night.